Yeah, I don't think there are many people out there that would argue that Tank and Ryan is now the biggest fight to make in the sport of boxing, because you guys got to remember, Ryan Garcia, he was supposed to be written off after this fight. This wasn't part of the plan. It was supposed to be Devin Haney knocks off Ryan Garcia for good, gets him out of the sport of boxing, and now it's me and it's Tank. Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis, mega fight, two undefeated fighters, and they have history. But guess what? Ryan Garcia messed up all those plans, and obviously, there's no doubt that Tank and Ryan Part 2, the rematch, is the fight to make. Let's be real. There's no bigger fight in the sport of boxing than Tank and Ryan. Now that Tank obviously has had success, he beat Ryan Garcia, has made big fights happen, tremendous performances, always gets stoppages with the exception of Isaac Cruz. And then you have a guy like Ryan Garcia who was written off, and he was supposed to honestly go on the decline now. After we all expected him to lose to Devin, he was supposed to, kind of fade off, and we were going to forget about Ryan Garcia. But guess what? He knocked off a top guy, and now he's back on top in that big conversation with all the big names again. So, Tank and Ryan is definitely the fight to make. I'm just not sure how optimistic I would be that the fight actually happens, because let's be real, what weight are they going to fight at? You guys got to remember, Tank didn't want to fight Devin at 140. He said that there's no point in that because Tank could barely make 140 comfortably. So why would he fight at 140 where he doesn't feel big, he doesn't feel necessarily strong? He's going to stay at 35. So now we're talking about him and Ryan at a catchweight at 44 and 45. I don't know how realistic that is, because Ryan Garcia has made it clear he can't make 40, and Tank's not even at 40. He's at 35, campaigning for a world title, trying to make big fights happen there, is fighting Frank Martin at 35. So it's hard for me right now. I don't know if we're going to get that Tank and Ryan rematch right off the bat. And in the meantime, while we wait for that fight to potentially marinate and potentially build up to be what we all think is going to be the biggest fight in boxing in the future, a lot of things can change. We don't know what's going to happen. These guys could have stay busy fights and then they get knocked off and all the other plans are changed. So I do think that that's the hot fight in boxing right now, is Tank and Ryan Garcia. But I just don't know how they figure out the weight. Like, if you're Tank's team, are you going to let him go to 44 and 43 where Ryan's physically going to be the stronger guy? Even though it's a catch weight, like, you're at a big disadvantage against a much bigger guy. So, and Tank has even said, like, that's what happened. He was talking about the Devin Haney fight. I know Tank doesn't like Devin. That's been made clear. But, like, after that fight, he was saying that's what happens when you fight a guy your size. So that, to me, that tells me all I need to know. That means Ryan Garcia and Tank won't happen at a catchweight. If Tank is saying something like he's not, that's what happens when you fight a guy your own size, why would he go up to 44 and 45 to fight a guy like Ryan Garcia? Now we have a complex situation where we don't know who's the A side, who's the B side. Is Tank the A side or is Ryan the A side? Because Ryan has a good case now, knocking off a guy like Devin Haney, who was supposed to be Tank's next big opponent, supposedly. But now that Ryan Garcia detracked this train, how do you go about making the next step for a guy like Tank? Because I feel like, even though I'm not so optimistic about the fight happening in the near future, there's so much money on the table now. There's too much money to the point where, is Tank going to walk away from this, or is he going to say, I beat this guy pretty easy. I'm pretty sure even with him rehydrating and getting to 143, 144 plus pounds, I can still beat him. I did it once, I could do it again. If that's his mentality, then this fight can happen. But if not, and people are in Tank's ear saying, that's too much weight, champ, he doesn't deserve it, that's too much of an edge that he doesn't deserve. You already beat him once. You're the A side. You're the boss. You're the shot caller. Then how could that fight possibly happen? That's my thing. That's where it gets a little bit tricky for me. I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Take my money. I want to see that Tank and Ryan rematch part 2. No rehydration clause. No catch weight. You got a big guy. Now you know that power is real. He beat a very credible opponent. He's a big name in the sport of boxing. You're going to make more money there than you would fighting anybody else. There's no bigger fight for Tank than the rematch with Ryan Garcia now. And even though I'd still love to see Tank and Devin Haney get it on, because I do think that if they step in the ring, that's going to be a huge fight as well. Not to the magnitude of Tank and Ryan part 2, but still that narrative of the storyline of the sparring, the infamous doghouse sparring, like, there's a lot of money there. There's a lot that they can run with the promotions, and they have guys like Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner, that whole story with Sean Porter and Adrian Broner the day before that fight where they did spar. That's a big selling point that I think that they can't miss out on that. If they do, then they're going to miss out on a lot of money that could have been in their pocket. So I still think Devin Haney's a big fight. You know, I've been saying, like, he's going to be back. I promise you guys he's going to be back. I think the big thing was that, you know, Ryan Garcia hurt him in the first round. If he didn't hurt him in the first round, I do think that's a different fight. I'm not trying to discredit Ryan. I just think that really shook it all up. And that honestly, I'm giving credit to Ryan Garcia, because Devin, I'm sure going into that fight, he's saying, this guy can't possibly, you know, go at me in the first round, right? Like, he did just that. He threw that left hook. Like, this kid's not possibly just going to come in here and throw the left hook. He threw that left hook and he landed it flush. Devin was hurt in the very first round. You got to imagine being Devin Haney. You know, I'm not a fighter, but going into that fight, how do you react? I got buzzed in the first round. I got 11 more to go. Man, I still got to survive and get out this round. So Devin Haney was in a very difficult position. When you talk about being in trouble in the sport of boxing, Devin Haney was in a lot of trouble very early in the fight. So I can see why Ryan Garcia obviously felt like it was kind of easy for him. It was an easy fight, but I feel like if he didn't hurt him early, then it would have been a difficult fight. Because you guys got to remember, Devin dominated rounds 2 to 5 in my opinion, but it doesn't matter when that guy has that power, because Ryan Garcia talked about the fact that his conditioning wasn't the best, and it was obvious. He wasn't like as ripped as we've ever seen him, but at the same time, he still looked strong. But he even said that his cardio could have been better. If your cardio could have been better, you could have lost at least, you know, 4 or 5 more pounds, and that's a minimum, you know, considering that you're saying that your conditioning could have been better. So Ryan Garcia definitely could have made 140 if he really wanted to. If you're not in the best physical shape, you could have afforded to lose a few more pounds. So it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you went in there, got the job done. I'm just saying, I do think that he could have made 140, and you know, maybe it would have been a tough cut, but Devin Haney had to make that cut. I do think that played a little bit of a role in terms of, you know, psychologically. Devin Haney was like, damn, those last 3 pounds are hard to cut. I did it, this guy didn't. That's not fair. But ultimately, Ryan Garcia is such a big name that, like, Bill, Haney, and Devin were just willing to go through with the fight because Ryan Garcia is such a big name. They said, we're going to beat this guy easy. Let's just get him out the way. He came overweight, so what? Yeah, so what? Ryan Garcia just shocked the world and basically put a beating on Devin Haney, and it wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty for Devin Haney, but I know he'll be back. There are now a lot of big possible fights for him. I just wouldn't rush into the Ryan Garcia rematch. I wouldn't rush to pursue that fight because, you know, Devin Haney's father was very intent, and he was pushing for the rematch already in the ring and the post-fight interviews. Bill Haney was telling Ryan Garcia, run it back, but you didn't hear Devin, like, urgently saying, run it back. There was no sense of urgency coming from Devin, because Devin knows that power is not something you can play with anymore. You know, Devin had a real realization that this guy might just be able to beat me. He might have my numbers. So, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. Do we see that rematch? I'd rather see the Tank and Ryan rematch at a catchweight. It's going to be tough to make, but I just don't think Devin Haney's in any condition to rush to take that Ryan rematch. I think he has to recover and reevaluate things. So I do think Ryan and Tank is the best fight to be made in the sport of boxing. There's too much money involved. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys want to see Tank and Ryan next? Or do you guys see a bigger fight with Ryan? Do you want to see Tio in there? I'd love to see the rematch, but, you know, in the meantime, I'd love to see Ryan in there with Tio, Isak Cruz, maybe Rolly. I think Ryan should beat Rolly easy, but there are a lot of big fights for Ryan right now. He's on top of the world. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.